Welcome to another edition of Biblical Errancy Commentary, the series that takes a critical look at Scripture, pointing out its numerous errors, contradictions, and fallacies. This program teaches a kind of Sunday school in reverse by giving you the biblical information that you should have heard but didn't. With millions of Americans fearing a totally one-sided presentation of the Bible, balance is greatly needed. Only when people are given both sides of an issue can a truly objective analysis be possible. And here to provide the alternative perspective is the editor of Biblical Errancy newsletter, Mr. Dennis McKenzie.
Welcome to the 37th edition of Biblical Errancy Commentary. We're pleased you've joined us. Today we'll conclude our series of programs on the inapplicability of the Messianic prophecies to Jesus. By the end of the last program, we had discussed 16 of the most often used Messianic prophecies, none of which had anything to do with Jesus. Now we can begin our final listing. 17th. Daniel 9:25-26 contains one of the most famous and involved of all Old Testament predictions. One would be remiss if it were not discussed. It says, quote, "From the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem unto the Messiah the Prince shall be 7 weeks, and 62 weeks. That's a total of 69 weeks. And the street shall be built again, and the wall even in troublous times. And after 62 weeks, that's 62 weeks, the Messiah shall be cut off, but not for himself. And the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary, and the end thereof shall be with a flood." Unquote. In order to make this prophecy applicable to Jesus, apologists turned each week of 7 days into 7 years. 1 week would be 7 years, and 69 weeks would be 7 times 69, or 483 years. 483 years were supposed to pass from the command to rebuild Jerusalem to the coming of the Messiah, allegedly Jesus. Many problems accompany the Christian interpretation of Daniel 9. A, the word Messiah is never applied to the expected deliverer of the Israelites in the whole Bible. It is applied to kings, priests, and prophets, to all those who are inducted into their office. B, in order to make the phrase Messiah the Prince apply to Jesus, distortions are necessary because Jesus was no prince or Nagid. In Hebrew, the word Nagid always denotes a prince or ruler with earthly or temporal power, something Jesus never had. He never ruled a kingdom. C, but even more importantly, the weeks referred to are real weeks of 7 days. They're not years. Daniel 10:2 shows this quite well by stating, quote, "I, Daniel, was mourning 3 full weeks." Would he mourn for 21 years? The next verse, Daniel 10:3, says, quote, "I ate no pleasant bread, neither came flesh nor wine in my mouth, till 3 whole weeks are fulfilled." Unquote. Would Daniel go without eating for 21 years? D, the words week and weeks come from the same Hebrew word which means 7 days as we think of a normal day. E, the decree of Cyrus to rebuild the temple and Jerusalem in Isaiah 44:28 was made in 536 BC, which is 536 years before the birth of Christ, not the alleged 483 years predicted by Daniel. Even if we assumed a week is 7 years, the prophecy missed by 53 years. Of course, that's the difference between 536 and 483. F. How could verse 26 say Jesus would be cut off or die 62 weeks after the decree, when the 25th verse just stated he would not even appear until 69 years or 69 weeks after the decree? G. Jerusalem was not destroyed until 70 A.D., which was approximately 40 years after the Messiah was cut off, not when he was cut off. H. If Jesus is the prince that shall come, when did the people of Jesus destroy the city and the sanctuary as was predicted? I. Daniel 9:26 ends by saying, quote, "And the end thereof shall be with a flood." If this is referring to Jerusalem, as biblicist allege, when was it ever destroyed by a flood? J, and finally, as we noted, Daniel 9:26 says, quote, "After 62 weeks," remember that's 62 weeks or 434 years, "shall a Messiah be cut off." If this is 62 weeks after Cyrus's decree in 536 BC, we have a problem. Jesus died in 33 AD, or certainly thereabouts. Thus, from the decree to the crucifixion would be 536, that's down to the birth of Jesus, plus another 33 years, in counting for Jesus' life, totaling 569 years. But the prophecy said it was to be 434 years from the decree to his death, not 569. The prediction was off by 135 years. Our less involved 18th prophecy is Hosea 6:2, which is one of those that apologists employ because of its specifics and apparent applicability to the resurrection of Jesus. It states, quote, "After 2 days will he revive us. In the 3rd day he will raise us up," unquote.